As we wait for it, as you've heard, my name is Ben. Ben Kyaka is my full name. I work for the children of GERTRUDE'S Hospital. They're the ones who employ me. Gertrude just pays me. We did a study with a team that one is here, the other is not around, on improving clinical practice through analysis of medication error reports for our hospital. So mine is very pictorial, so you'll allow me to just take you through the journey of what we did. I'll make sure I'll be done in 10 minutes. So where do we start? Whoever is with me, I won't say next, because I know what's next. I'll just keep talking, so you have to really listen to me, because I probably know what the next slide is. So this is our introduction. First things first, medication errors cost any health system annually around $42 billion. That's how much it takes for us to correct the errors that are caused by our prescribers, by the dispensing, by anything that we do in the hospital that constitutes a medication error. That is $42 billion a year. And so WHO, through the Medication Without Harm program, which is a challenge globally, gives us what you're supposed to do. As you can see, it touches on everything: the healthcare practitioner, the medicines, the systems, and the patients. We fall under, I think, 3 out of 4 of them, which is the healthcare practitioner, where we come in the communication, the incident reporting, of course the medicines, that's our forte, that's our bread and butter. Then the systems and practices that we do, that's what we are here for, to learn how the systems that we can lay in our hospitals and in our places of practice can lead to us having what we call a good system. So the next slide we go to. Our journey today, what am I taking you to? The types of errors that we encountered when we did this study, what story that data told us. Because the data is one thing, but what does it tell you? And finally, how does it change the way we practice in our hospital? So, what did we do? It was a retrospective analysis. We took data from August 2021 to July 2023. In case somebody is asking, that's the financial year in a GERTRUDE'S setup. So we start our year in August and end in July. And then the analysis was aimed to categorize what type of errors is it, then highlight the medication implicated, and also identify significant errors. I'll give you a description of what we described as a significant error. And lastly, any action that we felt that was deemed necessary, we gave the MTC, which is our Medicines and Therapeutics Committee, to come up with recommendations, and then they will action on them for it to become a worldwide, global effect in our hospital. Next slide. So this is a snippet of the number of errors we would have in a month. As you can see, the total number of errors we actually had in that year was 2,720. That is 2,720. Quick math divided by 12 would mean that we had around 227 errors per year. As you can see, some months we would spike, like in June 2023, the number of errors that were captured were nearly 320, 325 around there. 95% of the errors were actually captured by pharmacy staff. Of course, doctors capturing their own errors is usually tricky, but the big thing for us is noticing that the staffing and the people we are working with, the teams we are building, can capture 95% of the errors. So of this 2720 errors, 95% of them were captured by the pharmacy staff. Next, that's it for it. So this gives you the results. Majority of the errors that are actually done in a hospital are either an overdose issue, underdose, the wrong frequency, or in some cases, contraindication for age or wrong route of administration. But nearly 70% of the errors that we encounter in a hospital are overdose or underdose issues. So, a simple slide that gives you a very big picture. 50% of all errors that we captured, 2720. 2720, anyone who can do a quick 50%? 2720? 2,720. 50% is 1,360, right? Yes, 1360. I have 4 minutes. I'm doing good. 1360. That means 50% of all errors were attributed to antihistamine and leukotriene receptor antagonists. That is your cetirizines. That is your clofeniramines. That is your montelukast. So majority of the errors were attributed to that, so that you understand why in children, those are the doses. If you base by age, they're usually the trickiest to calculate, correct? Because, for example, a medication will tell you that it cannot be used in kids less than 6 months. Another one will tell you it can't be used in kids of this weight, of this age band. So that was 50% of our errors. Next slide. This is again based on the significant error. We describe a significant error which causes any error that causes the patient discomfort or jeopardizes his health and safety. For example, you give a patient a medication that causes an irritation or an itch. That patient is feeling, has got some discomfort. That is a significant error. You give a patient a medication that extends their hospital stay. That is a significant error. Of those, wrong medication prescribed came up at around 13 incidences. Wrong medication here is, for example, a doctor wants to write chlorpheniramine, but in the system there's also chloramphenicol. So because they all have chlor, his default, he goes to chloramphenicol, and he has chlorpheniramine. Wrong contraindication due to allergy. Our systems, when the doctor is entering, he doesn't take due history. The history he takes is not complete. So we find that a patient who should not have gotten a penicillin, and that was actually something we even had a whole interaction with PPB, they came over. A patient who's not supposed to get a cephalosporin got a cephalosporin because the doctor did not do the full history. So that's the wrong. And then wrong medication dispensed. This, we are actually even capturing dispensing errors, which are pharmacy implicated, in that a patient was given something that they were not supposed to receive. And the last one was therapeutic duplication, where somebody will write ibuprofen and they decide to add diclofenac and another NSAID, and you have to figure out what the issue is. Next slide, please. So, the error, what has it changed in our hospital as I come to a close? We've decided to run a system where every Friday, as pharmacy, we've taken up the responsibility to educate the doctor about which medication is available, and if it's not available, what medication is the option. So every Friday, the pharmacy stores, in conjunction with the medicines information pharmacists, will actually give our email kind of memo, a long list to say that this medication is not available, this is available, and this is a generic name, because in our hospital we do generic prescriptions. Number two, we do memos. Here memos are like, for those antihistamines, our medicines information pharmacist will actually give information about which medication to give, which age bands. Right now we have an ongoing fight with MOs on prescribing steroids outpatient, because for kids it's not something we recommend. So it's a memo we are running, a program we are running to just kind of discourage them from it being your first default of giving a topical steroid outpatient. And lastly, we do CMEs worldwide for pharmacy, but we also do CMEs for the doctors. Again, we have a system of recategorization. Here what it means, in our system you're able to designate a medication as high alert medication. We did this for sulfiroxime a while back. We were having a lot of errors with sulfiroxime. So what we did in our system, once the font changes to red, it has to be counter-checked by 2 people, which now reduces the amount of errors. And the doctor, when you're writing a high alert medication, it asks you, are you sure this is this? And then it gives you the maximum dose you're supposed to do, so that you know this is the age band, this is a maximum dose, so that it reduces your chances of making an error. And then Tolman lettering, I know you know that from the SMP one, where now the chloramphenicol and chlorpheniramine, you highlight certain letters in the name so that the doctor can see the difference. And then we run a system of no victimization. All these 2720 reports are done on a system we call QPulse. It's a software we use that is shared amongst our staff. So the idea is that they report, but they don't report who did the error. So the idea here is not to find out that, no, Dr. Maniki did this. The idea is to find out how can we assist Dr. Maniki and other doctors to be able to prescribe ABCD with full confidence, knowing that we are also being there, counter-check in case they make a mistake. Next slide. So, and HRMS was a word, but we're actually in the process, and that's for us is a big thing. We have partnered with a few people to be able to do our own in-house dispensing module that will be able to do all the work for us. The current one we had some few gaps, like missing up on allergies, missing up. So right now we want to incorporate all those things to have an in-house system for us to be able to dispense, generated by our own IT team, us feeding the information we want. We want you to be able to tell you as a pharmacist that this drug reacts with this drug. There's an interaction between this drug and this drug. Have you considered that this patient is using, antipsychotics, anticonvulsants, and this drug that interacts? Would you like to give them something for the itch? So that's the idea. It's in phase, I think, 2 or 3. And hopefully by the end of this year, by the time we come next year, it will be something we're able to share that we have done a full rollout and it's being used. And that for us is it. Conclusions, that we realize that we as pharmacists have a very big role to play. I know we usually have those moments where we have a back and forth between who is who, but I usually believe that is as a pharmacist, you take your place and do what is supposed to be done. You will never need to fight for your job with anyone. Number 2, that with expertise, and pharmacists can identify the issues and also lead to a place where we find how to optimize therapy and minimize the errors, and also involvement of the community and us, because we welcome anyone to actually give us feedback on the errors. If you find that we give you a drug, and it's a big issue for us because it's a private hospital, telling a patient, if you have found any error in what we have given you, kindly come and let us know so that you can correct the system instead of us hiding in the fact that we don't want to be seen as we've done an error. So that is it from us from GERTRUDE'S. I guess the next slide is just showing that we did not come from nowhere. We actually read a few things here and here. And lastly, just to say after that, thank you, asante sana, and have a good day.